moment. It's now going into the company that I'm a shareholder for. Here it is, Exborn Manor Freehold Limited. Sorry, I don't know why I keep zooming in. I'm sure you can see this fine. Just to confirm, within the company, you can see Exborn at the top there. It's showing you it's within my company record. You can see that Property Solutions Southern Limited, as I've just shown you, is the active secretary for the company. Now, when I arranged, because I became the acting chairman when the initial chairman resigned after wanting to view the bank accounts, we employed, as far as I'm aware, a company called Property Management Solutions. The name was then changed to avoid accountability and liability, I believe, and this was the company name on our register for the current management company. They have since refused to send me any further bank documents for our company, even whilst I was a director. And whilst I was a director, I arranged an insurance policy which was over £4,500 cheaper annually for everybody in the building. The other directors refused to go for that and went for the most expensive policy, which is another system, or appears to be another element of this system of fraud, whereby they provide excess, extremely high quotations for the services of the buildings. That then, of course, victimises innocent people within that building. And that is because there must be an affiliation between the insurance companies and those involved in this fraud. And of course, that is another system of victimisation when the quotations should be much cheaper, as I established myself. And that was a like-for-like policy, if not an actual better policy that I had acquired to save everybody money. And you can see within my company again, we have, as confirmed, Stephen Owens. And whilst I was the acting chairman, we arranged to have a meeting with Stephen in these offices, this building here. You can see this address here. And they refused to discuss anything with me, including the serious fire risk concerns, the neglect of the fire risks, by not having a fire risk assessment for 3.5 years, which is breaking the law, and to discuss the accounts that I had been led to believe they were managing for me, and the bank documents that I had acquired from them. They refused to even discuss it in any way and resigned there and then. And this was the resignation date on the 30th of September 2022. And here I am, just to confirm that I was in this company, and I didn't resign. I was actually removed on the 1st of July 2023 by others within my company. I was, as a director, I was unable to agree to file the accounts for our company because they were very clearly forged bank documents. So I couldn't commit that crime, and they removed me as a result. You can see from the record, this person resigned on the 13th of July 2022. As I've already confirmed earlier, this was 2 days after I approached this gentleman by knocking on his door and asking to view the bank documents, at which point they became very angry at me and refused and resigned 2 days later on the 13th of July. I then became the acting chairman, and on the 7th of September the same year, this person then resigned. Prior to that, I called a meeting when I started to realise and was investigating what had been going on. I identified concerns, called a meeting to remove 2 directors, and this director was removed at that meeting. This person then later resigned as I continued my inquiries. They also resigned. And during the very same meeting of my removal, which was voted on by people within my company, they then brought back the same person who had resigned when I asked to view the bank documents, and who had been living in the block at the time with all of the fire safety concerns, with no fire risk assessment for 3.5 years. And also, this person who had headed the campaign to have me removed was also put as a director on the same day. This is the former NHS Chief Executive Officer who was in charge of, in her own words on an email, in charge of a £700 million budget and 10,000 staff, and whose husband is a former Dorset police officer, and they both claimed in writing that they had a friend who was the accountant, and through my inquiries I established that it appeared that that accountant had been using forged bank documents to file accounts for years. During the live stream that I did on my Telegram, the gentleman I've mentioned from my company was on there, but also this gentleman came on, and I understand his name is Reynard Wilson, and there was a bit of a tag team between the two of them. I'm going to do a separate video on this, but I just think it's important just to mention this now. And Reynard slipped up and confirmed that he had been in collaboration with my company prior to the live stream. Now, this is very important for the reason I'm going to explain. Well, I say he confirmed. He initially slipped up, and then he wouldn't confirm either way whether he'd been in contact with my company. And this is one of Reynard's covers for one of his YouTube's videos. Now, bearing in mind, he refused to confirm if his company had been in contact with my company. These are the sort of people that those individuals in my company associate with. And there's a picture of me with many guns pointing at my head and saying, and it says, "Everyone hates Gary Waterman." Now, these people are connected to the police, don't forget. We've got a former police officer. We've got a former NHS chief executive officer. There's no greater depiction here to confirm that our government and these individuals are seemingly involved in a very sinister organised criminal network. But even more importantly than that is look at the heading at the top, Mind of Steel. Now, this is incredibly important because Mind of Steel refers to Mark Steele that we've mentioned. And Reynard Wilson, it appears prior to me even coming on the scene, has been trying to undermine Mark Steele's concern about the 5G. Now, this is important because it makes the link between my company and the 5G even stronger. Why would my company be associating and collaborating with a company trying to undermine the threat of 5G and somebody who depicts their video covers such as this? Now we're going to talk about Tommy Robinson. So this is correspondence with Tommy Robinson's team. Some emails. And it says, "Hi Gary, we've been sent your details by a couple of supporters and Tommy has asked me to reach out to you. If you could kindly let me have your phone number, I will pass to Tommy. Many thanks, admin." There was some contact on the 27th of April 2024. And on the 29th of April, I had confirmation that Tommy had my number. It says, "Hi Gary, no problem at all. I know the feeling. I've passed your number to Tommy. Many thanks, admin." I never heard from Tommy Robinson again. Now, of course, this should be incredibly interesting to Tommy because I'm talking about police corruption. I'm a former police officer as well, a former police constable. I have not only evidence of the corruption within police, but also within the government. And of course, Tommy should be incredibly interested, I would think, with somebody making such claims. But I've heard nothing. Now, this was contact between myself and Mayor Toosey. I'm sorry I put Mayor's name wrong at the top there. And I'm sorry, Mayor, for showing this information, but I have to think of the children and the imminent threat to everybody, so I'm sorry to show this correspondence. But this was a voice message I sent to Mayor.
"Hi, Mayor. Hope you're doing okay. This is really getting quite worrying. I have found connections to Tommy and to yourself through to the fraud. But that doesn't mean that people can't, you may not be aware of it. It doesn't mean that you can't assist with this. This is really quite serious, Mayor. I'd really quite like to, if possible, do an interview. I'm happy to talk to you and Tommy individually or together, separately off record, to discuss doing an interview or something in relation to this. And this isn't about me. I'm quite happy to just go back into my normal life after this, Mayor. I just want the truth to come out because everybody's futures are at stake in this. I don't know if you and Tom are actually part of the bigger plan. I hope not. but there's lots of people that are sort of appearing to say the right things that are actually part of the plan. But I'd like to discuss it with you both, and I'm not angry with anyone over this. I'm not, even those in my company that are behind this, I'm not angry. I just feel sorry for everyone, to be honest with you, Mayor, because people's hearts and minds have been completely corrupted by whatever has led to this point. But anyway, Mayor, I hope you're okay, and thanks very much for doing the interview with me. I do appreciate it. Take care, my friend. Bye.
Mayor responded saying, what sort of connection? As in they're targeting me, or they're getting my name involved to damage me? I've put, no, you are not in danger as far as I'm aware. I pray you are linked to an Irish company through research which links to IBM and the fraud. Tommy is also linked to the fraud through his previous name to a company called D&D Law Agency that is closely associated to the Law Agency, a very key illegal entity company. I suspect we are all in danger over this, even those that have been knowingly or unknowingly involved. The truth in all of this will save everyone and has the potential to change the world for the benefit of people from all nations, beliefs, ethnicities and cultures. This has incentivised, spelt wrong, the division across the world for a long time. Mara responded, oh, Iris, I used to work for them as an accountant manager, yeah. Before I got into politics, that's terrifying. Means so many companies are involved. I responded, many companies are involved. This was the 22nd of May, obviously. Many companies are involved, but of course there will be people within those companies that had no idea that they were what they were part of. I was one of them. We all need to unite over this before it's too late. The fraud, child trafficking and slavery is being used to control the whole lot, and a deliberate unnecessary depopulation event is likely happening very soon. We have to stand up to this for the children. This will not be resolved until those at the top are fully exposed and either leave their positions of power voluntarily or are removed. Mayor, but I agree. Everyone is compromised at this point until people say enough is enough. I've put it can all be stopped very quickly through truth and a new transparent system put in place to bring back liability and accountability for any illegitimate or criminality, especially if it causes suffering to innocents. Anyway, I know you are busy, so I will not keep you any longer. Please have a chat with Tommy and let me know if we can talk collectively. I have been told Tommy's team has had my number, but I have had no connection from him. Thank you, Mayor. I pray you're a good man. On the 26th of May, I then go on to send Mayor this message.
Hi, Mayor. Hope you're doing okay. Wanted to have a chance to have a chat with Tommy, in relation to this. I've got should be getting a call from Paul Thorpe on Monday or Tuesday to discuss it. Please let me know how you get on with Tommy. And remember, this isn't about me. I'm quite happy to fade into the background after this is all exposed and helps get us back to truth. Anyway, speak soon. I hope you're okay. Take care, mate. Bye.
I then sent a link to one of my videos and I had a response then on, I think it was, what day was it? Can't remember, a couple of days. Nothing from Tommy yet, I'm afraid. I'll give that a watch, thanks. I've never heard from Mayor since. So research in relation to Tommy Robinson. Again, I'm not saying Tommy is directly involved. He may not have known what he was part of, but I've got to do what is right and present this evidence for the sake of the children. And it shows that Tommy had a previous name of Stephen Christopher Yaxley Lennon, born the 27th of November 1982, better known as Tommy Robinson, is a British anti-Islam campaigner and one of the UK's most prominent far-right activists. He was a political advisor to former UK independence UKIP leader Gerard Batten. Robinson has been active as far-right politics for many years. He was a member of the British National Party, a British fascist political party, from 2004 to 2005. For a short time in 2012, he was joint vice chairman of the far-right British Freedom Party, BFP. He co-founded the far-right English Defence League in 2009 and led it until 8th of October 2013. In 2015, he became involved with the development of Pegida UK, a now defunct British chapter of the German far-right Pegida. Okay, now we've got the German connection here as well. You can see from 2017 to 2018, he wrote and appeared in videos on the Canadian far-right website Rebel News. I won't read the rest of this. looking at what appears to be Tommy's company's house records, we have a company called Maximum Trading Limited. And Tommy, please let me know if this isn't you. And you can see it's a dissolved company. And at the bottom, it's got a previous name from 2005 as Christopher James Limited. And on the incorporation document, Daniel James Dwyer. It might be Dyer, actually. So I think somebody said it's actually pronounced Dyer. And on that is a company that features throughout the fraud, D&D Agency Services Limited. Our D&D Law Agency Services, and that company features in the Nicola Bully research, and it links to the London Law Agency and a legal entity company. And here you can see it also links to BAE Systems, to the same person, Daniel Dwyer, to BAE Systems. Now that's important because now we have a connection to the directed energy weapons, actual weapons, okay? And going into the record, you can see you've got a Daniel James Dyer with 2,296 companies. And you've got a Daniel John Dyer with 1,486 companies. Going into one of those records, this is just one example, a festival. Now we're aware that Tommy is drawing large crowds of people into public places through his activism. And here is a festival company, Lancashire Festival of Hope with Franklin Graham. But of course, this is linked through D&D, through Daniel John Dwyer. It's not linked directly to Tommy Robinson. And you can see that this company was dissolved, but it's linked to Well Baptist Church. We know that religious establishments many appear to have been infiltrated and corrupted with illegal entity companies. And this company dissolved in February 2024. And this is just a very small example. We've now got a connection to the fraud via that company house record, and there's lots more in there. So we therefore have to consider that there's a motive for Tommy not to speak to me. To Maximum Trading Limited, this person, Christopher Johnson. You can see there 5 records. It will come to Ansam in a minute. Here's another company, Commercial Route Limited. Commercial Route Limited, dissolved company. Used to be Commercial Route UK Limited for not long at all. Looking on their incorporation documents, links to companies made simple. Now, as I keep saying, this is an important company because when you research that, you type in companies made simple, it links to a company called Westco Nominees Limited. When you look at Westco Nominees Limited on its incorporation document and within the filing history, the name has been removed from what would normally be the legal incorporation document. Now, that is fraud. And I suspect it's very important because it links to the World Trade Center disaster. I suggest you look at my World Trade Center disaster document and the videos in relation to that. And the same person, you click on their name, go back and look on their name, you have Tudor Homes Limited. And you go into the company and the incorporation document within the filing history, you'll see again companies made simple that leads to Westco Nominees. Go and type in Westco Nominees now on Companies House. Have a look at the incorporation document and go and see the company name has been removed. Very clearly fraud. And back into this person again, into Maximum Trading. We mentioned Ansam UK. This is just to show you an example of another issue with Companies House. And this isn't necessarily fraud, but it shows a clear problem with the system of registration that allows victimization through the system of fraud. And you can see just quickly this address on here, 925 Finchley Road. Finchley Road, 788, 790 is also a notorious address. And that may well be a an address that is empty or not affiliated to this company. Not that that in itself is a crime, but it's another element of the avoiding of accountability and liability potentially. So going into that company, you can see Andre Mark Sampson. Look at the date of birth, July 1982. Andre Mark Sampson, July 1982. Now they're linked to a Tempest Horizon company. Horizon. I haven't looked any further than this, so I can't confirm that it's linked to the Horizon Fujitsu fraud, but somebody else might want to look into that. But this is important, what I was talking about. So when you go into company's house and you search that person's name, Andre Mark Sampson, we have two exact same records. And this is another serious problem with company's house. And I suspect it's a deliberate part of this, because you have two records, which means you have the ability to hide the auditing of that company and those individuals. And you can see here that one of those addresses features to 20 to 22 Wenlock Road, and that is notorious to the fraud. And just to show that there's some other records there, but we're looking into that one in particular. And if you go into that record, you've got Designer Labels Direct. Here's that company. And we're just going into it. And within there, from that company, why did they put this here? There's a link somewhere, I've missed it. It appears to a James Ben something within there. And that's got Italux Limited. Now I immediately recognise this address, because again, it features in the fraud, 85 Great Portland Street. And here is that company, and it's got a PO box number in Cardiff. PO box, company's house. And it was dissolved on the 21st of May 2024. The same day, I believe, as the other company that we were just looking at a minute ago that dissolved. And if you go into the company's details, we again have, we have a company called Registered Office UK Limited, LTD, UK not in brackets, so Registered Office UK Ltd. Remember, this company was incorporated in 2022, so it's a fairly recent incorporation. And on the document, it's put a company name, so that should be a trading company, Registered Office UK Limited. But when you search for it, there's no direct hit. You've got Registered Office UK Limited with the full word limited, but not the LTD. So that has been either never created or it's been removed. You can see you've got these other companies with the same addresses. Okay, so you've got the same addresses, 85 Portland Street, but not the same company name. So that record is either forged because it's never been registered, or for some reason they've removed it very quickly because it's only 2 years old. Now normally a company, when it's dissolved, it's on there for 20 years according to the National Audit Company, I can't remember. But that has already been removed. There's no trace that I can find of it just through a normal company's house search. But if we look into this one, which is Registered Office in brackets UK, remember that didn't have brackets on the document. It's important that it matches the register. And this company, on its incorporation document, was also incorporated with Companies Made Simple. So you can see this is just an example of the fraud throughout, the lack of accountability through the fraudulent entity company, eventually leading through from the incorporation documents if you follow the evidential chain. And if there is any illegal part of a document, if it's any part of it is unlawful or fraudulent illegal, the whole document is illegal. Doesn't matter what someone said in a recent interview. That is a fact. I did that in my training. You cannot have part of a document lawful, part of it not. It's either all legal or the whole lot is unlawful and illegal, if any of it is unlawful. Okay. Now, hopefully you'll know 2 days ago, Tommy Robinson was arrested. 25th of June, here's an article of ITVX. Tommy Robinson has been arrested in Canada on suspicion of an immigration offence after speaking at an event in Calgary. Now, we have to consider this is very likely linked to this system of fraud somehow, and they're trying to remove him from the public eye. There's always, especially when mainstream media is involved, they're clearly linked to all of this with the evidence that I have. None of them are responding. And here we are. We have to consider that Tommy Robinson is part of their plan. The fact that he's still alive with all of this, let's face it, is concerning itself. Then we've got the fact that he's got my number, he's not responding, and he's connected to the fraud, and Mayer has been asked to contact him. He's not responding anymore. He's not contacted Tommy, supposedly. It's all too concerning, and it has to be considered that it's all part of the plan. Now, of course, if we look at this 5G that has been implemented, and we see that article that we looked at from the government website, that in September 2023, they were putting this up in public spaces, in stadiums, in tourist locations. Tommy draws crowds. Mayer draws crowds. Tommy's following is a lot of them are football fans. And I'm sorry to say, if you're a football fan, most football clubs, I've got the evidence, are linked to this system of fraud. Many of them are illegal entity companies, and they link through, unfortunately, to the same companies appearing to be part of this child trafficking ring. So it is all a very sinister criminal system that we're talking about. And we have to consider that these individuals are being allowed to draw people into locations for very sinister means. But it is also creating a divide, isn't it? It's clear that what Tommy is doing is creating a divide, an unnecessary divide. And this is Tommy was involved, I believe, on the 1st of June with some sort of protest or large event in London. There's now one on the 27th of July, and it's causing a divide, an unnecessary divide, because we need to unite over this fraud. It's very clear that this is being used and is fueling most of the problems we are seeing in the world, deliberately, I believe. When you go and look at the Albert Pike letter, it ties in with all of this, doesn't it? The connections we've got to the German companies, to the Israeli company. I'm not racist or anti-Semitic in any way, shape or form. My goodness me. We are all equal under God, but we cannot have a deliberate divide that appears to be happening. We've got the World Trade Center disaster, and all evidence is suggesting that we have to consider that that was a deliberate false attack, false flag to create a war on terror, a divide that would eventually lead through to the full digital currency control of anyone that may be left after any other sinister plans that they appear to be very seriously considering. And look at this. This is on the bottom of that. After mobilising 5,000 on Saturday, the largest turnout for fascist Tommy Robinson since the battle to defeat the movement in 2018-19, he's calling his fascist, racist and far-right supporters back to London on the 27th of July. We need a mass turnout of broad forces to unite against his hateful, dangerous politics, unions, politicians, faith groups, campaigns, activists. Share widely, join us on 27th of July to oppose him. We should be uniting, not dividing. It's clearly being done deliberately. And I suspect we have to consider that some of these individuals are part of the sinister plan. It's the only thing that makes sense in all of this, that it is part of the plan. When really all religions, all faiths, all ethnicities, who are all equal, we're all given free will to believe what we want, to have an opinion, as long as we don't victimise anybody else. We should be coming together over this. The real enemy in this, the lies, the deceit, the crime, the abuse, and the apparent plans of murder and genocide that's been happening in Gaza and other places. We need to come together over this against the real enemy in peace and support of each other. Now watch this video clip that somebody has sent me of Tommy Robinson, or it appears